Hey Voyage Church family, I hope and pray you guys are doing well today. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. I don't even remember what day we are in self-isolation. But regardless, I hope and pray wherever you are today, things are going really well. I wanted to share with you guys a quick word from the book of Jeremiah today as we continue our little series called I Am With You. First, I want to ask a question, and if you want to comment in the chat, if you want to share your little story, I would love to hear it. What is the most isolated you have ever felt in your life? The most alone. Maybe it's right now. Maybe it's quarantine. Maybe it was a different occasion. I don't know. For me, the most isolated I've ever felt is not right now. I have a wife and 2 children running around my house. So they keep me pretty busy and keep pretty close to me. But the most isolated I've ever felt that I can remember is probably when I was like 15 years old and a sophomore in high school. And I went on my first overnight basketball camp. But the unique thing about this camp was no one I knew went with me. Before this time, I had done camp with other guys that I knew or things like that. But this was the first time I got there and knew no one. And for the next 3 days, I was by myself. And I remember that first night laying in bed, kind of like, I don't think I cried, but I think I was a little teary-eyed. I was a little moist, thinking that, like, I don't know anyone here. Everyone here are strangers. And that was the most isolated I've probably ever felt. As we look at the book of Jeremiah and we look at the person of Jeremiah today, we see somebody else who feels really isolated. And really, if you remember our last conversation that we had when we looked at Isaiah, Isaiah is foretelling this time in the future of Israel when God is going to lead the nation away. They're going to be taken captive by another nation. And now Jeremiah is living in this time. He is going to personally see this take place in his life. And in Jeremiah chapter 1, God gives Jeremiah his calling to go and forewarn the nation of what's about to happen. Do you think Jeremiah would be popular saying, hey, we're about to lose our entire country? No. And as a matter of fact, people don't like to hear what Jeremiah has to say whatsoever. And so in Jeremiah chapter 1, God gives this amazing promise to Jeremiah. He says, now get ready, stand up and tell them everything that I command you. Do not be intimidated by them, or I will cause you to cower before them. Today I am the one who has made you a fortified city, an iron pillar and bronze walls against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the population. They will fight against you, but never prevail over you, since I am with you, Jeremiah, to rescue you. This is the Lord's declaration. Now that's good to hear. When you go out and God's like, hey, you got to go preach destruction upon the nation, that's nice to hear God say, but I am with you. That's comforting. But by the time we get over to Jeremiah chapter 15, 14 chapters later, Jeremiah is like not having it. He is not happy with his job. And he is really frustrated with his calling and with God himself. Jeremiah has been hurt. You can think about all the times he's had to preach and say this to people, and they don't care what he has to say. They don't like it. And they can turn quite violent even. And so by the time we get to Jeremiah chapter 15, Jeremiah just kind of tells God off. Jeremiah 15 verse 10, he says, woe is me, my mother, that she would give birth to me, a man who incites dispute and conflict in all the land. He says, I did not lend or borrow. I don't have any debts, and yet everyone hates me. If then in verse 18, he's talking to God specifically, and he says, why has my pain become unending? Why is my wound incurable, refusing to be healed? And then he tells God this. He says, you truly have become like a mirage to me, water that is not reliable. If you've ever seen a movie where somebody's in the desert. We know what a mirage is. It's when the sun reflects off of the desert surface and it makes it look like there's water, but in reality, when you get to that location, it's not water. It's just the sun shining off of the hot sand. And that's how Isaiah describes God. He's like, you're so not in the picture that it's like you're a mirage to me. And, you know, if you've ever had anyone say anything mean or hurtful to you, you can feel the pain in that. You know, there's the old saying that hurt people hurt people. And in this case, what we see is Jeremiah, a hurt person, trying to hurt God. And notice how God responds. In Jeremiah 15, verse 19, he says, therefore, this is what the Lord says. If you return, I will take you back. God tells Jeremiah, he says, look, I get your pain. I know what you're going through is hurtful and painful. And what you have to tell the people is very hurtful as well. But I have not left your side. As a matter of fact, verse 20, he says, then I will make you a fortified wall if you return to me. I will make you a fortified wall of bronze to this people. And they will fight against you, but will not overcome you, for I am with you. God tells Jeremiah here, he says, nothing's changed. I know you are in pain. I know you're hurting right now, but I am with you. And my hope and prayer for you is wherever you are today, whatever you're feeling, whether it's frustration, isolation, anger at God, I pray that we would continue to be encaptured by this amazing response from God. That it's okay to have those feelings because God continues to overwhelm us with His grace and His love. I hope and pray that God blesses you today. Take care.